I held that until the day I left. So I understand how to make a court efficient. And the way you do it is you set the rules, you don't cater to the lawyers, you respect the lawyers. But my belief, which is different than most attorneys and judges, is that I work for the taxpayers. I don't work for the lawyers. I'm there to provide a forum for them to resolve their disputes in the most efficient way possible. If you do it with what the lawyers want to do, you'll be spinning around forever, ladies and gentlemen, because they get paid by the hour. So I never once would allow the court, the lawyers, to take charge of my court. And I think that's important. You got to understand who you work for, because that philosophy will translate down to a more efficient court. I proved that. I proved it for 8 years. And I'm proud of that experience. During my time as well, I was also on the board of civil district judges, on the Mass Torts Committee, on the State Board of Judges, on the American Association of Judges Board, and on and on and on and on. You say, well, what is that relevant to? Well, it's relevant because we had to formulate policy about how to handle large dockets, how to handle mass filings of cases, not just for Harris County, which, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the largest jurisdictions in the United States, but for the entire state of Texas. I mean, we had made policy and so forth that affected all courts in the state of Texas. I'm the only one with that kind of experience. And that's important because in Montgomery County, we have backlogged dockets. Our dockets are backlogged. In other words, the court is not performing, is not finishing out and just resolving more cases than it takes in on a daily basis. You have to be able to do that in order to catch up to your docket and move it forward. Another point is our jails are full. And our jails are full because the courts aren't processing enough cases. Now, our jails are full of illegal aliens. Roughly 1/3 of our inmates in our jails are illegal. Lisa has mentioned it costs $70 a day. I have a solution for that. For most of the ones that are in there that have committed certain crimes, we deport them immediately. We don't fool around with them and pay for them for the rest of our natural lives while these judges wring their hands and lawyers waste their time. We get rid of them right away. And I believe that the court, the district judge, has discretion to do that. And I think that's important to reduce the cost that we as taxpayers have to pay. I take an oath to preserve, protect, and to defend the United States Constitution and the Constitution of Texas. I believe that gives me the discretion to protect the citizens that are in my county. And if I deem fit, there is no law against me taking that kind of action and immediately deporting these people. What's happening right now is they're being sent down to Houston, and Houston just lets them go. And they come right back here. All that money, and time, and effort is wasted, and they're back here committing the same crimes. We have an explosion of crime in this county, and we have an explosion of DWIs in this county. And for those people that come here illegally and then offend us even further by committing crimes against law-abiding American citizens, that has to stop. And I have a solution for it. I've been the only candidate in the race that has talked about it, and the only one who's committed to doing it. Now, I'll open it up to questions.
How do our illegals get down to Houston?
ICE comes here and picks them up out of our county jail.
And you can stop that as a judge?
No, I'll just send them out before they get here. I'll accumulate them up and get them out of here. Why should I have a gun held to my head by an incumbent federal government?
Exactly.
Mr. Devine, I'd like to ask you the same question that I asked your opponent. In the last 3 years, how many cases on which you've been lead counsel have you tried before a jury, and how has that affected how you practice the law?
Well, let me go back a little ways further than that, because I've been in management in the last 3 years quite a bit.
So have you tried any cases before a jury?
Yes. As a judge, I tried over 350 jury trials and over 500 bench trials. That's more than all of my opponents and other courts and everybody put together. Okay. As a trial attorney in the last few years, I've been the managing attorney at a law firm in Houston, so my role there was managerial. My last case that I did try, I represented the family of Constable David Hill in Houston, in a tragic death case that affected his family. And then I also tried a mass tort case in Dallas. It was a 6-week-long commercial case involving a toxic exposure and so forth. And then over time, as a justice of the peace, and I forgot to mention that, I was also a special judge where I served in justice of the peace courts around mainly Harris County. And I handled a lot of civil and criminal landlord-tenant cases and so forth as well.
This is the same question, capital murder, capital punishment.
I'm in favor of capital punishment. I've not been a criminal defense lawyer. And I will say that that's the one thing that my opponent has on me. I have not defended the rights of criminals against the interests of the victims and the taxpayers of Montgomery County. I've not done that. Yes, sir.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the docket of the 190th was like? What types, percentages, what types of cases?
Well, it was a civil court. And so when I took it over, we had about 3,250 cases on the court. A civil case is not all that different in terms, we still have to rule on the evidence, we have to rule on procedure. A lot about a criminal case is that it's statutory. You still have to pick a jury. I have picked 350 juries. I have been a part of that process. I've ruled on motions in limine. I've participated in all those processes you see in trying a case from a judicial perspective. I'm the only candidate in the race that has that experience. I reduced my docket down to less than 1,000 cases where I held it there until I left.
Usually within time, they make up that money. You end up paying more money within 3 to 7 years of being in that permanent loan. So if you're going to be in a loan for 5 years or more, usually a 2-time close is better. So thank you very much for listening to that.